So what is the best master skill in Dragon's Dogma 2? One of the more unique mechanics of this sequel are these special skills that are not actually given to the different vocations right away. Instead, you need to head out and find a teacher or master who's become extremely proficient in that particular art of fighting. After some quest steps, you're given an extremely powerful skill for that particular vocation, which means you need to do this for each individual vocation for every run. But are all of them worth it? Let's take a look at each vocation's master skills and see which class has truly perfected his combat style. Starting out at the very bottom, we're going to have Heavenly Shot, which comes from the Archer vocation. This is a mega arrow shot that consumes all of your stamina on every use. The more stamina you consume into a single shot, the more damage it's going to deal. And don't get me wrong, this can be a very good option sometimes since it can deal multiple health bars on big monsters. But Archer's kind of odd in that some of the regular skills like Spiral Arrow and Erupting Shot are almost just as strong as Heavenly Shot. But neither of those consume all your stamina, and both can be used much faster without making you vulnerable for some time. Another downside to Heavenly Shot is that you can very easily miss this. When it does connect, the arrow obliterates your foe and deals tremendous stagger to any opponent, but miss and you are wasting so much time in combat. Missing also doesn't mean just not hitting the target, but even slightly landing off the vital spot a bit. The hit needs to be very accurate, and especially on dragons, you might feel frustrated while using this skill. Pawns are actually way better at using this skill, which is nice, but even then, Deathly Arrow is enough to suffice for their stagger assistance. Erupting Shot is far more reliable for any Arisen, even if that one does require special arrows. Wild Fury is the master skill for the Mystic Spearhand vocation, everybody's favorite flip, teleport, stun, and force throw vocation. Wild Fury is probably the best attack skill Mystic Spearhand has available, simply due to it doing really high damage. Basically, you summon a blue clone who attacks alongside you, and this is a particularly rapid attack with lots of forward movement. Very aggressive style that gets enemies staggered or trashes weak spots if you are standing on top of monsters. When compared, however, Wild Fury deals significantly less damage than the master skills from pretty much most other classes. While it doesn't require 100% of your stamina, it does consume almost all of it to complete the full combo. Very stamina heavy, and while this class does have access to a stamina siphon ability, it can easily place you in a heaving state if you don't pay attention. I personally still love this skill and think Wild Fury is a must for any Mystic Spearhand user, but especially early on it can be a little less impressive than other options. Well, nobody really likes Trickster, unfortunately, mainly due to this being the class with 0 damage. You have your pawns deal with everything and apply mist to your enemies. Ooh. But, thankfully, the master skill, Dragon's Delusion, is really good. For any Trickster user, this is a must as you can be effective no matter the situation. Summon up a dragon illusion that roars loudly in the midst of battle. Scaring away smaller targets, you can completely clear away 15 enemies at a time. And also, it very quickly staggers big monsters, knocking dragons out of casting or possibly getting griffins out of the air. You will always want this so your party of pawns can easily take out groups one by one, and staggering monsters is definitely the easiest way to take them out. Reducing how often they attack is invaluable, and well, it is quite fun to have a dragon summonable at any time. If it had damage, it would be way cooler, but still a really strong tool for the Trickster users out there. Arc of Might is the warrior master skill, and boy does it feel like it. You charge up a very long attack that will consume all of your stamina. On release, 2 attacks come out, one lashing forward and the other slamming down with the power of Grigori. Man, this thing hits so hard, and since most warrior mains are on this class for the big bonk anyway, you're going to love it. Arc of Might is incredibly effective at deleting massive sections of health in an instant. If you can get a monster in a vulnerable state, the fight might as well be over. Manage to get a warrior pawn with this while you're playing Trickster, buffing their damage, and it is lights out to any dragon. But while the fun and cool factor is there, the skill itself is not all that efficient. This one also is going to consume all of your stamina on use, and like I mentioned, it takes a really long time to charge up, making the ability very difficult to actually hit monsters with. You're going to use it as a finisher move most often when monsters aren't moving, and eating food at a campfire can give you just enough stamina to not heave ho after every use. but Warrior's perfectly fine spamming several other skills that are also astounding. If you want Rule of Cool, Arc of Might is totally it, but still not quite the perfect option. Fighter is another vocation that does not get enough love, and while the master skill Riotous Fury might not be the strongest in the game, it is one of the most reliable. On use, you're going to begin a combo of unrivaled power, slashing, slamming, just beating down your opponent with multiple sword attacks. Riotous Fury can be annoying as it must connect initially to begin the combo, and it requires being quite close for that thing to connect. Thankfully though, this does not use all of your stamina, using a lot still, but not enough to really mess you up when making mistakes. And Riotous Fury has both damage and stagger. Slamming this on a vital cuts through monsters like they are butter, and using it at least twice in a row can quickly stagger chimeras, dragons, even griffins as well. For when smaller targets start getting annoying, you yell out, "Screw you," and just go to town. This and Wild Fury from Mystic Spearhand are the two most similar master skills in how you're supposed to use them, and from my experience, Riotous Fury has the upper hand for its extra stagger. Plus, since Fighter can easily counter enemy attacks for more damage, at least when wearing a ring, that grants easy openings and a lot more power. Another skill that has that rule of cool, but this time with no major downside whatsoever. Rearmament is the master skill for Warfare. This one allows you to swap weapons during combat without going in your inventory. Warfarer is able to use multiple weapons from different classes, also able to use any skill from those classes except the master skills, which gives him a lot of versatility and customization. Rearmament is not required as you can simply enter your inventory to switch weapons. However, I have no idea why you would want to do that. The entire point of this class is to come up with interesting skill pairings like using Sleep from Magic Archer and switching to Indomitable Lash from Warrior. People really seem to hate that Rearmament takes up one of your 4 skill slots, which I do get, but in my opinion it's not a negative in any way. You can use any of the innate abilities from all weapons when you want and select 3 skills to grant you the specific power that you desire. Some could even argue Rearmament is the best master skill simply due to you having access to whatever combat option you want 24/7. Not really an impressive skill in terms of flashiness or anything like that, but definitely very strong if used correctly. Martyr's Bolt is the big one-shot skill granted by the Magic Archer class. Upon activation, you begin draining max health. However much you consume, you deal more damage and instantly target whatever monster is in your way. The skill is beyond overpowered, being able to one-shot anything in the game almost, and doing so in about 10 seconds or less. Your only issue is that this will drain your max health, which you cannot get back from regular healing, which makes you a bit more reluctant to use it at times. Of course, all heal potions are nice and sleeping restores health, but this isn't something you go around spamming on every single enemy. Mainly used to slay dragons or just for the fun factor alone. Considering how you use the skill, it can get a bit dull after a while, as fighting monsters is the fun part of the game, but hey, I will never complain about massive unrivaled power, and you will surely want this option just in case. Maelstrom is the giant tornado granted by the Sorcerer vocation. This is quite literally a massive tornado you can summon at any time you want, which I have to say is freaking awesome. Who wouldn't want to suck in all enemies, throw them in the air, and deal massive damage all at the same time? The advantage here is really large AoE damage. The skill hits targets in the center and directly outside of it, which means any large monster is guaranteed to at least get hurt. The downside is a massive cast time. Takes you quite a while to get this one off, and any interruptions force you to start over. Thankfully, this matters very little since pawns can protect you very well, and once you finally do get the skill off, the enemy's definitely dead. Maelstrom is also one of the 2 master skills for Sorcerer that can be used anywhere, working in both caves as well as outside. In fact, Maelstrom is so overpowered that I quit using Sorcerer pawns because of it. Every Sorcerer pawn instantly kills the bosses since most people equip this on them. Crazy fun skill that looks cool and will never not be fun. Meteoron is possibly the best skill for the Sorcerer vocation. Yeah, for some reason Sorcerer gets 2 master skills, and while one is a tornado, the other is meteors from the sky. And wow, this one just does damage, man. Once again, having a very long cast time, you call down extremely powerful explosions from the sky that almost always land on target. In the first game, this never hit more than twice and kinda sucked other than, again, just feeling awesome to use. But here, it hits almost every single time on target and seems to have solid AoE range as well. My endgame sorcerer build was this. Just calling down Meteoron as much as possible since the stagger keeps all monsters from doing anything, and unless it's a dragon, one cast is all it takes to finish them off. Unfortunately, this one does not work in caves whatsoever. I mean, think about it, it's meteors, that would make no sense. But the damage itself is far more than Maelstrom, pushing it ahead for me. Meteoron is just a monster, easily one of the highest damage attacks in the game that does not consume all your stamina or your health. Sorcerer is just that good, I guess. Celestial Paeon, which I'm sure I'm saying wrong, is the Mage Master skill. What? How did a Mage skill make it this high up on the list? Well, Mage might as well be required to play the sequel as the buffs they can provide are unrivaled. Playing without a Mage is just purely a challenge, as the class provides way too much to pass up no matter what. The Master skill here is going to be on every single Mage pawn, as it grants you infinite stamina while active. Basically, you summon this large magical dome around you. You and any pawns in the dome have infinite stamina recovery, more speed, and reduced damage taken, making you virtually unkillable and allowing you to combat enemies with ease. The downside is that once the dome disappears, the mage completely loses all stamina and is knocked off their feet, which is really going to suck for you, but again, no one is playing mage. You have your pawn using this, so that doesn't affect you in any way. Really start to think about the benefits here too. You can now infinitely climb monsters and attack them. Skills that consume all your stamina now don't. You can spam your most powerful attacks several times in a row, and the entire game being centered around you managing stamina correctly makes infinite stamina completely broken. Easily one of the best skills in the entire game. So for some reason, Blades of the Pyre is not considered a master skill in game. This is given to the player just like any other master skill in scroll form, but not colored as a master skill in the menu. I don't know why, but we're gonna count it anyway. Blades of the Pyre is a master skill for the Thief vocation, as you spark your daggers together, creating a large AoE fire blast that deals insane damage. Unfortunately, it also sets you on fire and deals lots of damage to you. On its own, this is going to be way lower on the list, but everybody's going to be using it with the Formless Feint combo, making it really good. That lets you instantly dodge any attack, which includes Blades of the Pyre. Now you can spam Fire Blast about 6 times in a row and defeat anything. The range hits enemy weak points with no effort, doesn't hurt you with a fire immunity ring either apparently, and is super quick to use. Meteoron is going to be more powerful damage-wise, but this is extremely reliable and much faster than any sorcerer ability. I don't even know, it just obliterates monsters so quickly it gets ridiculous fast. And to no surprise, the best master skill in Dragon's Dogma 2 is Formless Feint, a skill for Thief that deals no damage. Instead, you cover yourself in a black cloak that makes you completely immune to all damage taken. The skill is gonna auto-dodge for you, meaning you can do whatever you want and never die. The only downside is the skill will slowly consume stamina while active, but that amount is so low you will often finish fights well before that begins to matter. And mage pawns grant infinite stamina as well, letting you keep this active forever. Some of the more fun times to use this are to avoid sleep from harpies, dodge dragon roars and meteors, or just spam dodge the Medusa's gaze. Easily, the funniest thing is the Medusa's dodge, as it spams you across the entire room repeatedly. Formless Feint makes Thief unkillable, which added onto his already high damage lets you become more capable than any other class. The Black Cloak looks really cool, the skill is highly effective, and Formless Feint is definitely the best master skill in Dragon's Dogma 2 by a long shot. And there you have every master skill ranked in DD2. Of course, you can go grab all of these on a single character and probably should, so your pawns can use them as well. But it is definitely useful to know which ones are always good and which are a bit more situational. Thieves, sorcerers, and mages have master skills that are beyond broken and way too good to not be using, while archers, warriors, and magic archers are still good but by no means required. Hopefully this gives you a bit of insight on which master skills to prioritize. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you next time.